Hello, and welcome back to Tea Toast and Marmalade. We are here doing part 2 of the podcast on loss. In part 1, we looked at some of the ways we can experience loss. We also discussed that even when one loses a job, goes through a divorce, or has a close friend move miles away, it is also felt or experienced the same as a death in many ways. We also made mention that we begin the grieving process internally when we are not even aware that we are grieving. Loss is personal and must be approached individually. Even if the entire family has lost the same person, no one person can determine how long you should grieve or to what depth you must feel. The time of loss and grieving is a very important and justified time in our lives, and if nothing else, we must learn to be very kind to ourselves. I diagnose loss in this way. If something or someone was in my life and then leaves my life, but leaves me with an empty space, a void, or leaves me with destroyed dreams and hopes, then I conclude I have suffered a loss. So while we have identified the different forms of losses in part 1, let's now have a look at some of the ways that we can look after ourselves during the grieving process. So number 1, in my opinion, this is the most important step of grieving and one that I have repeated numerous times, and that is you are unique, you are individual, and you are important. Your internal settings may differ to a great degree from everyone else, and that is okay. It helps you to understand this, that even if your family all lost their mother, their grandparent, or another relative, you cannot expect yourself to grieve in the same way or in the same time period as others, because you are not them. So if or when someone else tries to make you feel as if you are taking too long and should be moving on by now, remember, it is a personal loss. The key word is personal. Remember the phone analogy? You could all have the exact same phone, but your settings could vary from everyone else's, and that is okay. Remove the pressure from you by remembering you are okay and you're allowed to be an individual. You're allowed your own emotional response. Number 2, learn how to really be kind to yourself. Truly kind. Kinder than you've ever been to yourself before. Think of yourself as if you were your own best friend. Think of the advice you would give someone else. Think of how you would help them and nurture them through a difficult time. Picture yourself advising you. I am sure along your journey you have counseled many friends and maybe even family members. Now it is your time to receive wise counsel. Look in the mirror. Tell yourself you're okay. And yes, you are going to be there for you. Let your heart dictate the steps and the speed of your own recovery. Number 3, be honest. Don't lie to yourself about how you really truly feel. You must feel to heal. Don't bury your emotions, or they will surface sometime and at the most inopportune time. Whatever your head says, make sure your heart is ready to follow. Sometimes we just want it all to end and go away because the pain is too much. And yes, it is. Pain will fade in time. Will it completely go away? I don't know, because memories come in waves, and when those waves come, reality says that you will deal with whatever the wave is, whatever the memory is when it comes. So there is no definite answer for that. But recognize the season that you are in, embrace it, and trust me when I say that you will heal faster when you allow yourself to feel. The grieving is a process, so try not to push yourself past the place where you're actually at. Another note, if you are a person of faith, then lean on your faith. When things are too hard and don't make sense, let the spiritual part of you rise up. We look after our bodies, our souls, but also our spirit. We are a 3-part component. In order to feel whole and healed, we need all 3 to balance. So lean on your faith. Let it be your strength in times of weakness. For me, this has been very important, which brings me to another part of grieving and healing, and that is your tears. Tears are amazing. They are built into our systems in such an intricate way that they are intertwined with our emotions. Tiny little saltwater drops that fall from our tear ducts and express our emotions and release our pain. They also express explicable joy and fall when we cannot breathe from laughter. They are built into us, connected so deeply to our emotions. They are little tiny release agents that fall from the corner of our eyes. Eyes, which, by the way, are the windows to our souls. And salt water, by the way, is healing. So I say this, cry, 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 until you cannot cry anymore. The tears will slow down and eventually stop precisely when they intend to. They are your personal healing crew. So even if you're at work or out and about and a memory triggers the tears, try not to stop them. Go somewhere. Go into the bathroom. Go anywhere and cry. You can fix yourself up after. Use the gift of tears for your own personal healing. So a side note here, if you're going to cry a lot, like me, might I suggest some oil or coconut oil is what I use, and apply it around your eyes after your crying sessions. The reason is your tears are salt, and salt dries the skin and makes it parched. If you cry a lot, those creases around your eyes will increase. So as a lifetime tip, use oil to keep those eyes looking moist and young. And this is for men and women, I might add. So here, this is number 6. And number 6 is self-care. And by self-care, I mean the pampering type of care. You know, when you treat yourself as a king or a queen, and you take time to soak in the bubbles right up to your eyeballs, if you desire. And you get your nails done and your feet done, or you do it yourself. You use that special lotion and that beautiful perfume. You go to bed earlier. You cut back on your appointments. Whatever you need to do, spoil yourself. Let yourself know that you really do care about you. Your body will receive your love, and it will be very much thank you for soaking in rest and restoration. I just want to point out that our bodies are like phones, and when we plug our phones in, put our chargers on, and it recharges the battery. Sleep and rest does that to our bodies. So we need lots of sleep and rest to be able to recharge our batteries. And when we're sleeping and resting, that's when our bodies heal. And that's when we are restored, is during that time. So I strongly advise you, get as much sleep as you can and really look after yourself. And men and women do the same. Men also, go pamper yourself. Why does it just have to be women? You go and get your nails or your feet done, or get that haircut, or have that facial, or whatever it is that you do. I would say go do it. Put away that long, heavy to-do list. Try this. Try only one piece of business a day. If that one piece of business today is putting a stamp on an envelope, then do that one piece of business today. Tomorrow's piece of business, you might put that envelope with the stamp on into the post box. If you just do one piece of business each and every day, that is 30 pieces of business you've done in a month, which is probably more than you would normally do. Just a side note again, this process also helps procrastinators. Only do one piece of business a day. By doing only one piece of business a day, you will feel less taxed. You will feel less likely to be emotional. It's easier to deal with emotions when fatigue is not running high. Wrap yourself up in a cozy blanket. Make a special cup of tea. Watch whatever you want on television or Netflix. And learn to just be. Just be. I promise you that your feet will reach for the ground precisely when they are ready to do so. Until then, treat yourself better than you've ever treated yourself. You will be surprised how doing all these things helps in the grieving process and helps with the process of loss and brings healing. I also would like to make this one note before the next number is up, and that is please, please, please try hard not to overindulge in alcohol and drugs during a grieving and loss period. Alcohol is known to be a depressant, and it very well could make you feel 10 times worse. Restrict your alcohol and drug intake for celebrations when your emotions are high and positive. It is time to go overboard on the pampering in every good and positive way, not overboard on substance abuse. Number 7, journal. If you can and you don't mind doing this, write down what you're going through, and not for others to read, but for you. This is where you get to be 100% honest, truly honest. You get to get it all off your chest and write it on paper. You can write down what you feel about everybody and everything that has just gone on. You can do this on a daily basis. You can do it 2-3 times a day if you want. And journaling gives you an opportunity to really pour out your heart. It also opens a door for your own wisdom to flow through. Because often when we're either speaking out loud or we're writing, we answer our own questions and we find solutions. Now, you may not think those steps of solutions will emerge during the devastation of loss, but actually they can. And if you don't know what to write, then start in your journal with this. Dear journal, I have no idea what to write because I feel stupid and lost doing this. Journal, I want to tell you that my way of dealing with grief and loss is ... You fill in the rest. But as somebody who likes to write, I was taught in a writer's course that I took once that if you have writer's block, then you write about the writer's block. And that gets the creativity flowing. So if you're going to journal, that might be something you want to keep in your mind as well. Now, someone once said that we hold all the answers we need within us. If this is true, then we need to present opportunities for those answers to surface. And one of those ways is journaling. Give it a shot. I did, and now I have journals all over the house, which is probably not good, but who knows what brilliant thought may emerge and what wisdom those journals now hold. One day I may sit down and go through them, or somebody else may find them and find that I was quite adequate in letting people know how I felt. There we go. And number 8. This is really important, and I strongly advise it. Seek bereavement counseling, even if your loss is not a death, but rather a relationship, a job, health, whatever. You would be surprised how much sense it makes when you're sharing with a professional who is familiar with loss. Just to hear those words, "This is normal," makes you feel as if you are not crazy and somehow validates your emotional state. You may feel like you are dying or going crazy with all the emotions and the thoughts that you're feeling and thinking until you realize that you're not alone. Once you hear words from the professional, there will be a great relief that comes to you. Try not to dismiss this if it is offered, and if it is not offered, then maybe seek it out for yourself. Number 9 is, I think, the last one, and here it says, I have written, find what helps you. Be yourself. Feel yourself and trust yourself. When our fur baby went to sleep forever, I couldn't look at his pictures. There was too much pain, too much loss to do so. When I am hurting really bad, I cannot touch the wound. I know this about me. I just cannot go there. And yet others, they find it quite healing to spend time in old pictures and videos, and that is okay. When I was ready, I did. I'm still not ready, so I still haven't fully embraced it. But whichever road you take, make it perfect for you. Remember, all our settings are different. Now, back to the bereavement counseling just a bit. I wanted to let you know that if you're not a browser, or you're not somebody that really wants to go looking, I found a website that was helpful to me. And if you don't mind, I will pass it along to you. Hopefully, by the time you're listening to this podcast, the website is still up and running. It is called grief.com. It has a lot of information on it for those who are dealing with grief and loss, and it is an easy read. It is where I found the 5 stages of grief. Now, the 5 stages were written by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and David Keisler, and you can find them actually on their website, grief.com. I've copied them into the slideshow that accompanies this podcast, so you can freeze frame them and read them as you go. But just to cover the 5 stages, the first one is denial. The second one is anger. The third one is bargaining. The fourth one is depression. The fifth one is acceptance. So there you have the 5 stages of grief and loss. And they are real in many ways, not just with the death of a loved one. So it's really a good read. Okay, so I'm going to leave this podcast now and let you dive into your healing and your journey. And I wish you all the best, all the love, all the healing that you can get along this difficult journey. And be good to yourself, be kind to yourself. Please pamper yourself. Okay, bye-bye, till next time.